Mind of a Geek is a production of Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkedgeekstudios.com. To help support Mind of a Geek and IG Studios, go to patreon.com/IG Studios. As little as $1 a month can help support this show and other great content. We thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mind of a Geek. I am your host, Nate, and as always, I am joined by Brandon.
I am also your host.
You are?
Brandon. Behind us, that's Boudreaux.
Wait, who are you?
I am Brandon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And Boudreaux is in the house. Hello, Boudreaux. Boudreaux. How are you saying it on Sonics? Brandon?
Come again?
How are you saying it on Sonics?
Boudreaux.
Boudreaux. Cool.
We have a house Boudreaux.
Too
like
many
a band,
dudes.
but a Boudreaux.
So our guest this evening, let me pull up the notes because there we go, is from the Tales from the Fandom podcast, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Thank you for taking the time to come on. I know we had a little bit of a mishap in the beginning there. It was like, hey, we got to reschedule. Hey, wait, let's just start it 15 minutes later.
It's not something I'm used to. That I've dealt with it before on my podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate the flexibility. It was just we had some mishaps. I ended up having like a 4.5 hour ride home when it was supposed to be 2, so it kind of just screwed everything up for the rest of the night. So, but I appreciate you bumping back for like 15 minutes, and we also have Hugo in the house. Hugo will be drawing, as regular viewers in the chat know. Hugo, I know because of Skype,
Hello.
David can't hear you, but feel free to say hello. Did you say hi?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Feel free to say hello. Silence.
Right.
Did you say anything? Hi.
I
Hi.
think you did.
Hi.
So David is the host of a podcast that he does on a weekly basis called Tales from the Fandom, where it's if you're a fan of Mind of a Geek, which you obviously are because you're listening, it seems kind of similar to this. Different guests every week, and they talk about different fandoms that they are passionate about. So David, why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about your show?
My show is basically what you just said. Every week I have a different guest, either United States or somewhere international, and they come on to talk about what their fandoms, what they're into. Sometimes it's similar to what I'm into, so we kind of just bounce off each other and have a great discussion. Other times we're talking about book series or animes that I might not be into, so they're kind of explaining it to me and the audience and telling us why we should be interested in the fandom. And then we also have anniversary episodes, like Star Wars 40th anniversary episode released yesterday. We had a Buffy 20th anniversary. We do movie reviews or TV show reviews, just depending on what is really happening out there in the fandom world.
Very cool. And how long have you been doing the show for?
Next month will be 1 year, June 6th.
Nice. That is right. You know what's funny? So we don't do it anymore, but this studio started in June of 2014, and I shit you not. You can go back and look. Our first episode aired on June 6th of 2014.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, that show is long since kaput, scheduling issues between me and my other hosts. But no, I just thought that was pretty funny. Well, that's cool. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, speaking as somebody who co-hosts a guest show, it's really incredible the people that you meet and different things that you can discover. Like you said, whether it's like an anime thing or just something like that, where it may not be something that you yourself were familiar with beforehand, and how many different cool things you can discover just by talking with somebody about it for an hour or so.
Exactly. And the great thing is I've made so many good friends just from asking to talk to people. And I keep talking to them throughout the year that I've been going.
Right. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really the motivation for podcasting for me. Having met, thank you.
No problem.
I'm louder now.
I was waiting for you to talk so I could gauge you.
Well, once you shut up for a minute, I'll say something. No, that's the greatest thing about podcasting for me is you make so many new friends and meet a lot of interesting new people. For example, Corey in the chat, my hetero love. Okay, I'll go back to shutting up now.
he basically spoke just to love Corey. Yeah, no, but it is really cool. Like our artist here, and we met from being a part of a community and a fan of the show. So many people in the chat, and they do so much for us, and it's a lot of fun. It is pretty incredible the net that the internet allows us to cast, and to find other people of similar interest to have the show and go from there. So as far as your show, so we talked a little bit about that. And, we'll plug that more kind of towards the end,
Sure.
As far as, when you record, where people can find it, things like that. But so let's kind of focus on you a little bit. So obviously you are probably a self-proclaimed geek.
Yep.
You seem to, you gave me a nice long list of things to chat about. So why don't we find out, now we've learned about your show, why don't we find a little bit more about you in regards to, what kind of makes you tick, what kind of inspired you to move into the podcasting world there?
Man, as far as podcasting goes, it had been on my mind, and Amazon ran a great Black Friday deal on a Yeti microphone, and I bought it with the idea of doing a podcast, but no idea of what I wanted to do. And I have 3 young children. They're 8, and then I have twin 7-year-olds. And I don't get to go out and do a lot of stuff. I don't get to go do tabletop role playing or go see a lot of movies like I used to do before the kids. And I don't get to hang out with a lot of friends because we've moved and we're far away from everyone. So I thought that it would be really great just to have the opportunity to talk to people and record them. And that's how the show really was created.
Now, do you do your show live, or do you record it for a later date?
No, I do record for a later date. So there have been times where it's bitten me a little bit, especially last year with Game of Thrones. There's one episode where we recorded the day after the season finale, and that episode didn't come out for about 2 months.
Well, that doesn't work too well.
As you do.
Yeah, we
had talked about
Go ahead.
we had talked once upon a time about not doing it live anymore, because there were a lot of hassles in the beginning, but I recommend it if you're going to do it. Live is the way to go.
It is
If
fun.
you have the means, over time you gain a little bit of interaction. You have people in the chat room. It's pretty fun.
Absolutely.
And you can, everybody can watch you fuck up.
And it is great for those shows, like once you get a decent following and you have people that are there every week, it's nice when you, I can't tell you how many times him and I both just had a crazy week, and like the show notes because we do a Star Wars Doctor Who podcast right before we record this. And there will be weeks when like it's just like we're exhausted, we're slammed, and the chat room is typically always there to kind of help push things along or give us things to talk about. And it's great the community that you grow. And I mean, you get it from the downloads too. But one thing that I've noticed when it comes to downloads as opposed to when it comes to live is, at least on our end, and I would love to hear your experience with it. When it comes to the recorded listeners, it can be a little difficult to get them to engage.
You mean the audience member, like the people that are actually listening to the podcast?
Right, yeah. As far as
Yeah.
people, it's tough to kind of get them to either send the tweet or the Facebook message or the email. Like it takes a lot more encouraging than it typically does. It seems to get them to toss a message in the chat.
You really gotta coax them, huh?
Oh yeah, on I have a Facebook page for the podcast, and I have like 600 likes.
Right.
But I'll throw things out there to try and encourage discussion, and it's crickets. Like nobody does anything.
Yeah,
Right.
we
But-
tried to do like Twitter hashtags.
Nice.
Did you just do that? That's awesome.
Who
Who did the cricket thing? Was that you, David?
I did.
Oh, Hugo.
Hugo did that? Hugo, we're stealing that. That's ours now. But no, we tried to do like Twitter. Yeah, I've been drinking. We tried to do Twitter hashtags and stuff to no avail.
Yeah. I tried to do like the questions of the week
Yeah, we
and
gave
things
up
like
on
that.
that.
Hate tweets roll in though. Yeah. Well, Corey, that's just because people hate you. We don't hate you. I'm sure David doesn't hate you, but people do hate you. No, I give Corey crap. We gave Corey a shout out on Sonics. We'll give him one here. So everybody that's hanging out, say hi to Corey in the chat. Corey is a friend of ours, a friend of the studio from Else Nerds and Podcast of Terror. He's coming over to hang out with us, and we appreciate that.
Corey's gonna be chafed from all this verbal fellatio.
We know he's sharing our links to everybody. Nudge, nudge. So you mentioned a bunch of different things in regards to, like, you know, tabletop things like that. So when it comes to kind of what defines your geekdom, like, what is your primary passion? Like, if you, like, you know, you got a free night, you've got your tabletop, you've got video games, you've got a collection of movies. What is the first thing that kind of pulls you in?
Man, I'd probably have to say I would just sit on the sofa and watch something on TV, whether it's like reaching into a DVD collection or Netflix. Like, I'm overwhelmed with Netflix shows right now that I've got to either finish up on or get ready for because so much of their original content's coming out.
Right. What's catching your interest on Netflix right now?
Well, I'm finishing up Sense8 right now, and then House of Cards and Orange is the New Black are both right around the corner. I believe House of Cards comes out next week.
It does.
And I'm really excited for that.
I need to catch up. Well, as of next week, I'll be 2 seasons behind. I saw, what was it? The last season I saw in full was where he becomes president at the end.
Okay.
Wait, was that season 3 or season 2?
I think it's season 2 because season 3 was re-election.
Okay, so I did see season 3. I missed 4, and now we've got 5 coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked it. The thing about 3, and it was cool. For me personally, I didn't find 3 to be as compelling. I thought that the journey to presidency, I thought, was really cool. I loved the Underwood character. I mean, Kevin Spacey is amazing anyway. Also, hello, DJ in the chat. So Kevin Spacey's great, and I found that to be cool. I felt that it lost, at least for me, it lost a tad of its flair once he became president, because it's like, okay, you're there. I mean, yeah, right. There's still the re-election and things like that. I still love I forget her name, the actress that plays his wife. Her character is always spot on. But oh
yeah, she's amazing.
With season 3, like, how do you feel that 4 compared to 3?
I mean, I have to agree with you. There was a portion of it where it was really slow in the get-go, but that, like, the last part where they're like building to the re-election campaign and they're building to, like, the convention and what they're actually planning to do is real masterful. It's just like master classes of acting from
right.
Kevin Spacey and from, again, I can't remember the name of the actress, but she just is amazing. And I mean, with the world that we live in right now, I'd almost rather have Frank Underwood be my president.
Oh, I would much rather have Frank Underwood be my president. Frank Underwood would be, yeah.
Would you be the bodyguard?
No.
Oh.
Corey.
No, but I'd rather have him as president.
Jesus. You know, it's funny. I said no instinctively, and then I remembered the 3-way scene. Yeah, you're funny. Corey, always on target this tonight, apparently. Robin Wright is the actress that plays his wife.
No, he beat me to it.
There you go.
I literally just went to IMDb,
yeah.
too.
But no, I mean, and we won't stay on. Have you seen House of Cards?
No.
Okay, so we won't stay on it too long.
I mean, I know enough about it to
right.
talk about it, but
right.
I'm on to American Gods right now.
Nice.
That is my show of choice currently.
Very cool. All I was going to say to close that chapter out was, no, like, the things that you saw in season 1 and 2, like the, throwing the reporter in front of the subway.
That was amazing.
The prostitution thing with, I can't remember his name, but the bald guy, who they basically, they threw under the bus and completely destroyed. Like, you didn't see that type of craziness in season 3, I didn't think. And then,
No. Yeah, is more subdued on season 3.
Right. And again, you did kind of mention, and not to get into, I mean, we certainly won't get into politics, but with what is going on in reality now, how much can they do on House of Cards that isn't much crazier than what we're dealing with?
Exactly. Like that's the thing that they're running up against. And I remember seeing a promotional spot, I think right before the election, where they did like a vote Frank Underwood
Right.
type thing on actual terrestrial TV, and I found that really fun.
Yeah. A friend of mine had it was a T-shirt, or I think it was a T-shirt that said like Frank Underwood 2016 or something like that. But no, I mean, but we'll see. I'm excited. I got the Netflix, and I think House of Cards is one of the ones that streams in 4K. So
Okay.
right now I'm doing my catch up on Better Call Saul.
Oh man, I love that show.
Nice. I don't think he watched. I don't think. Well, chime in
I've
with
seen a couple
Brandon
episodes.
can.
I've seen a little bit of it, but yeah. Again, like I'm more Doctor Who.
Right.
Give me some sci-fi and fantasy.
Right.
Not that those shows are bad. Like Better Call Saul was great from what I saw. It's just I have very limited time to watch TV.
Right.
It's not the TV I'm gonna watch.
Right.
Give me I don't know what do I watch for TV shows currently. Obviously the two I said previously.
Right.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
Love me some Sam and Dean.
You're gonna be the
Charlie.
bodyguard, apparently.
Yeah, that's right. What else? Arrow here and there. Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know. There's not a lot of TV shows I've watched
Right.
recently.
Well, you mentioned Who, and obviously we do the Star Wars Who
Right.
podcast. I noticed, David, that in your thing you did. Are you a Doctor Who fan, or?
I remember my very early days, probably like in the 80s, catching like old school Doctor Who on TV. I am not a current Who person, which a lot of my friends get upset with me about. And I equate it to I don't know where to start with Doctor Who.
From
I
the beginning.
don't know where to jump in at, or should I just pick a season and go with it? Like, that's always been the challenge.
I think if you're going to jump into contemporary Who, it would be with Eccleston. Would you not agree, Boudreaux?
Very first season, yes, absolutely.
The first season of new contemporary Who.
Absolutely.
It is best to start from the beginning with that. It is one long tapestry. So
You gotta understand, it's gonna suck with the all the GFI stuff and graphic stuff. Whatever.
ground fault.
know
What GFI stuff are we
Not
talking
GFI.
about?
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking
CGI?
CGI.
CGI. That's the word. I'm looking for.
Boudreaux's been
I've
drinking
had the
too.
beer.
I just think
since
Boudreaux-
about
I thought we were
noontime.
talking electricity here.
Yeah,
Ground fault
right.
interrupter.
No, I've been drinking since about noontime.
Yeah, so I would agree. That's kind of so. Like I mentioned, we do the Star Wars Doctor Who show. I'm more the Star Wars guy, whereas he's the big Who fan.
But really, I'm more both.
Yeah, well, yeah, both. But anyway. Yeah, so I had started to get into it. Like he had mentioned, so many shows. I thoroughly enjoyed Eccleston. I was very disappointed he only did one season. So I'm currently going through season 2 of the reboot. But I would agree. And everything but the newest season is up on Amazon. So
Okay.
yeah,
I agree with the chat room and Preacher too. Preacher's really good.
yeah, definitely.
My wife was definitely more of a Doctor Who fan that she turned me on to the friggin' show. She showed me the show, and I'm like, wow, this is horrible, but I can't stop watching.
You mean to tell me that
It turned into something that was so amazing that I just couldn't stop.
You're telling me that the Tennant era didn't garnish tears?
I'm sure it did. I can't.
I binge watched all of those seasons in a couple months, and just
The problem with
between
me,
Tennant and Matt Smith, I shed many a tear.
I wake up so much earlier than you that I pass
Man,
out halfway.
you really got to rub in what a shitty milkman I am.
What
Right there, huh?
Well, I wake up like 3 hours earlier than he does, and
Yeah.
I pass out by the time I'm into 3 episodes, and I'm just falling asleep on
Well,
the
see,
Right.
that's where we differ. You're a fucking bitch who just wants to work, and I actually want to live my life a little bit, so I'm going to go to work late.
Yeah, see,
If we live in a world where I can go to work whenever I feel like it, I'm goddamn well going to stay up a little
another
later.
opinion would be that I have a family to
God.
provide for, that I have to make
The
sure
the milkmen are arguing.
the
I am gonna.
several different routes that I do compared to the one that he does.
That's right.
I will
Boudreaux's
cut.
right.
I
He's
will
better than
kibosh this now. But anyway, sorry. Boudreaux has been drinking, and he's not a regular member of the recording team.
That doesn't mean that you should just brush him aside.
Right.
Well, no,
Doesn't.
but
Mr. Postman there.
I am. Yeah.
Oh my god, everything's gone off the rails.
It has gone off the rails. But anyway, yeah, so we pulled out the TV. Yeah, is there any other shows? So you mentioned, again, we talked about House of Cards. Anything else that
We
is...
haven't talked about Game of Thrones.
We'll talk. I don't know Game of Thrones, so by all means.
So we're not going to talk about Game of
No,
Thrones?
you guys can talk Game of Thrones.
Why don't you know Game of Thrones?
Because I got like 2.5 seasons into it and got really bored.
Terrible human.
It's just like the book.
Terrible.
They're like
No, it's not like the book.
they're
He
like-
cut out all the verbose bullshit of the book.
right, but it's still way too drawn out and way too long, and the books are like 95% too long.
You made it further. than
David,
I
do you
did. I
agree
got
with
like
that in
2.5
terms of the show?
episodes.
You know what? I really like the show. I like the backstory that the books can provide someone that's watching the show about like all the little minutia and detail.
Right, it fills
But
in the blanks.
the show is killing it as far as, I mean, the first few episodes of each season is always like that initial, someone's playing chess, you're moving your pieces, but then you hit like episode 4 or 5 and it's just all downhill and it gets really good.
I equate it to a Stephen King novel. Like, when you read Stephen King, it starts the same way. It's kind of slow and plodding, verbose.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you get to the last 3 chapters, if he actually succeeds in ending the book well, which is rare, everything spins out of control and it accelerates. Look at the last season. The last season ended amazingly. I'm so happy that they
last
did all
season
that.
was probably one of the best seasons, but I think part of that is because nobody knew what was coming because they went into uncharted territory.
Right. Now, do you find that preferable now that they've outstretched the books, gone beyond the books?
I'm fine with it as a TV viewer because, I mean, it's completely separate as far as the TV show now versus the books. So it'll be interesting to see when and if the books actually get published, the differences made from his overall goal. I know that they're like going towards the same end goal or end part of it, but the routes that they're taking to get there are probably going to be very different.
Right.
I mean, a lot of storylines got changed, especially like the Dorne storyline and everything that's going on with Arya has been changed. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I'm digging the TV show.
Everything they've done on the show, though, has been with Martin's approval, right?
Yeah, I believe he's like they've approved everything, and he's come out and said, you know, the show is the show, and then the book is the book, and people are either gonna like it or not like it, and you're just gonna have to decide if you like both of them or not.
See, now I think that they should give it the caveat that, like, if you're gonna watch this and read the books, you need to be a comic book fan because then you'll understand the idea of multiverses. So then you just have, you know, like Earth 1 and Earth 2 TV version, you know, just like the movie, just like Marvel movies, you know, it's just
Exactly.
then it's okay. So
Exactly.
I see you
Until
have
they start shoehorning stuff from the movies into the comics, and then trying to make that work.
right, and that brings us to Marvel Comics. So you're obviously a Marvel guy over a DC guy.
I am indeed.
Hop
I mean,
up.
I like the DC TV shows that are going on right now, but I grew up on Marvel Comics,
As
and
did I.
I've never really watched or read I've never read DC Comics as far as like picking up Batman or Superman. They've just never interested me.
Nor have they interested me. The only DC that I really got into was Constantine. Have you ever read any Constantine?
I've not, but I know enough about it from one of my friends that really loved the character.
Yeah.
And I heard about the TV show, and then I watched him in. I would love the DC animated movie, so like that Justice League Dark that came out,
I want
which
to see
had
that.
a Constantine in it, was really good.
The guy that actually played him in the live action show voiced him in Justice League Dark. I do want to see that. That's really good.
It's good. I mean, between him and Swamp Thing, you know, I'll take both of those.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny with DC, like a lot of the more obscure characters I really like, as opposed to, you know, like Marvel, a lot of their mainstream characters are great. But when it comes to DC, outside of Batman, I don't really give a shit. Nate's
See, when I
back.
was growing up, I always, I guess it was more of a teenage year, but, I was right into Smallville when that first came out. I started watching that, and I loved the shit out
Oh,
of it
I
since
loved Smallville.
I've never watched Smallville in my life.
Smallville is the only form of Superman I can handle.
It was awesome.
I'm not a Superman fan at all. I think he's a lazy superhero. But I love
Well,
Smallville.
he can afford to be lazy because he's too powerful. That's the problem.
But I still contest.
Although, where's the kryptonite bullet?
I still contest that Batman is the most powerful superhero, hands down.
In DC or just
In
all
general,
around?
Batman, Iron Man too. Batman and Iron Man are the two most powerful superheroes. Because their superpower is limitless.
You're freaking me out, man. What do you mean?
Their superpower is limitless.
No, their billfolds are limitless.
Exactly. Their superpower is their money. So
you're gonna tell me that Batman or Iron Man could sit there with Wolverine and are better than Wolverine?
With the right amount of time and R&D, yes. Because see, here's the thing: any other superhero that you name to me is limited within his description. His powers are his powers. That is it. Batman and Iron Man, primarily Batman. We'll focus DC for a minute. So Batman, his power is his money, which, as far as the comics are concerned, is virtually limitless. He has his R&D team. He has Lucius Fox, etc., etc. So whether it's a Superman, whether it's a Wolverine, whether it's no matter what other superhero you face, their power is constricted by, again, their character description. Once Batman understands that superhero, he has the money to invest in science and research to develop the technology to defeat and also become as immune or invulnerable as he can against that superhero or supervillain. Therefore, with the right amount of money and R&D, being able to outpower that superhero. Yet, again, limited by their descriptions, he can easily work around their powers. Therefore, he negates their powers and becomes more powerful than them.
What about the Mimic?
He could come up with a technology that prevents him from mimicking.
But the Mimic, I believe the Mimic's power is only limited to his imagination. So anything that he can imagine, he can do.
So if you drug him to negate his imagination...
How do you get close enough?
He's Batman.
Is that your final argument?
Yeah.
He's Batman?
David, do you agree with this?
You know, the only thing I can think of is Wolverine could just wait for Batman to get old and die.
Right? Exactly.
So can Superman.
Batman could pummel him and 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 pummel him some more, and he would just heal and heal and heal and heal and...
Right. But we know...
We'll watch Batman age out.
We know because of certain new movies that Wolverine is not unkillable.
Fuck the movies. I'm talking about comics.
They're...
Wolverine's dead in the comics, but
There we go.
only because he was encased in adamantium.
Right.
And ergo, he's not even dead. He'll just come back.
He's Han Solo'd.
I'm anxious to see what they do with Captain America. How are they going to de-Hydra
I like
him?
I like what Hugo's drawing. The Wolverine claws through the bat symbol.
Yeah,
That's
funny.
great.
Are you up on Captain America and Hydra and all that right now, David?
I don't follow the comics too much just because they're expensive.
That's a problem.
I've known the controversy surrounding it, and they've had to kind of come out and talk about, oh, there's a bigger plan. Please stick with us. Please stick with us.
Right.
Because, you know, the controversy is super hot. I mean, you have a character created by Jewish people, and now he's a basically. I mean, they say that Hydra is not Nazism or whatnot, but. It definitely toes the line. So
yeah.
It's tough that they've had to come out and say, just, you know, stick with us. And I think the latest issue is another Steve Rogers showed up at the end of one of the books and was like, oh, I need to get home. And they gotta like figure out which Steve Rogers it is from which multiverse. I hated the whole Doctor Doom becoming god of like the battle worlds and everything like that.
Dude, I did not like that at all.
I stopped reading Marvel books during that time because it's just so convoluted, and then they'd come out with these really great concept books. Like I loved like A-Force, like all Avenger women's team.
Right.
But then after like 7 issues, they're done, and it took like a year of just having all these interesting characters that they were playing with, and then deciding on who's going to be in the actual new universe. I hated it. Like, just take me back a couple of years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. They need to like retcon all of that and just go back to the way it was. Have your Ultimate Universe and have all of that. The only thing I like is that they got more Age of Apocalypse out of that. That is my favorite alternate series of all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. They basically like Game of Thrones, all of that, man. They rode those coattails like, oh, we're going to take Marvel and break it up into kingdoms. Why not? Fuck Battle World. That's my point. I fucking hated that.
Like one of the best books that came out of that was the whole like Thor police officer type series where they had like the Thors investigating what was going on, and that was a fantastic concept. But then again, you lose it, like you're done, and I don't know, like is ridiculous to me.
So building upon that, what do you think of them reinventing all of their classic heroes and gender bending everyone? It's my stance that if you're going to make a hero that's appealing for a wider audience, make a new hero. Don't change that which has already been established.
I will say I like it when it feels organic, as in like Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel, or Sam, who's the new Nova off of, like, not Richard Rider specifically, but he gets the helmet. Miles Morales as Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, those characters perfectly fine. I'm not opposed to, or even Riri Williams, who's like Ironheart instead of Iron Man. Like, I'm fine with that as long as they do it organically. Don't just give me the character and say this is the new Captain America or this is the new whatever. I want it to happen in process, so like you grow with that character and you understand why they are becoming that character, not just giving the mantle to someone else automatically.
Right. Especially with what was the first one you said?
Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel.
Yeah, that I think that's the best example of that. I thought that worked really well.
Yeah, and she's one of the most beloved characters out there. Whenever I talk to people when we talk about Marvel stuff, she's always brought up, and she's one of those people or one of the characters where whenever we talk about the future of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they want her to show up. They want her, and they want a Miles Morales Spider-Man are the two most like characters that are always asked for.
I would like to see that. I would like to see them interact together. I think that would work really well.
Well, I know that they're in the Champions book that's currently out. It's like Miles, Kamala Khan, young Cyclops from like the 60s when they brought him forward.
Oh, that's another thing that pisses me off. I don't like that either.
But I mean, it's a good comic. I read the first 2 or 3 issues and then I haven't read them since. But...
Yeah. See, I'm not up on my comics. A lot of my reading was, I don't know, 2010 X-Force era, when X-Force was Wolverine and Deadpool and the like.
Oh, that was a fantastic series where they're like the Black Ops X team.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So good. I with the X-Men, you mentioned that. Jesus Christ, I just did not like that. So, let's have Beast make terrible mistakes, and then he can bring the X-Men back, and fucking give me a break. And then Iceman
and then they don't want to go back.
No, of course they don't want to go back.
Like you met like timelines. Come on, Hank McCoy.
Right, seriously. Have you ever seen Millennium the movie? Fucking paradoxes all over the place. And then Iceman is like contemporary Iceman is straight or gay, or one of them's gay and one of them's straight.
Was he always gay? They just
no,
recently
because like contemporary.
No, young Iceman was gay, but the actual Iceman that everyone has been reading about for like the past 40 years
not gay.
Is straight.
Is not gay.
Right.
He went to camp and came back all right. I don't know what's going on.
So hey, I'm kind of curious. So you had mentioned that like when it comes to that, it's more like the movies and the shows and things like that. So now that we are reaching kind of the end of the current, what are we in, phase 2 of the MCU?
Phase
3. Are we on 3? But as we get to the point where we're gonna stop seeing Robert Downey Jr. soon, we're gonna stop seeing Chris Evans soon. What do you think their options are in regards to, like, you know, we talked about gender bending the characters, recasting the characters, things like that. Do you think that we are going to see the movies kind of maybe drop a little bit? Like, because in my experience, at least for me personally, like, it's gotten to the point where I'm more a fan of the actors and actresses than I am the characters. Like, for me, the Avengers is Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., and Evans, Scarlett Johansson. Like, for me, it's not so much the characters. I feel like the actors that play the characters have become larger than the characters. Do you know what I mean?
That's almost like when
totally.
you read a book for me, and then they make a movie out of it.
Right.
You create an image in your mind of what the character looks like.
Kid.
Red Sox win 3-0. Thank you, Hugo.
You have an image in your mind of what the character looks like after you've read the book. Then they make a movie, and it's nothing like what you wanted. Although that, I'm contradicting myself, and I don't really agree with that with what you're saying. I agree with you in a way.
Right. Well, I mean, if you want to bring it to books, like I've always said, two good examples. For me personally, Silence of the Lambs and the Dexter books.
Yeah.
So, I saw Silence of the Lambs as a child because my parents, I don't know, have problems. But so I saw that when I was really young, and for me, it was all Anthony Hopkins. Mm-hmm. And having his facial tics, having his voice, having his dialect and the way that he spoke, for me, that increased the quality of reading the book. And same deal with Dexter. Like, I read Darkly Dreaming Dexter, which was the first book, long before it was ever a horrible show on Showtime. Now, as horrible as the show was, Michael C. No, it was horrible. Read the book. Read the book.
I have read the book.
The show sucks.
The show was great for the first few seasons before it got shitty.
But it's an all-encompassing
the books,
thing.
Fuck the books.
The books are so good.
No, the books bring it to a place of fucking demons, which is stupid.
No, which is awesome.
No, it's dumb.
Because it's not.
Just let
they're
him-
not literal
just keep
demons.
it
They're figurative demons.
Yeah, just keep it simple and let him just be a...
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway.
Fucking...
There was a dark passenger in the shows. But
Yeah,
my
and there's
point,
a flaming fucking bullshit.
My point being is that
sacrifice.
Michael C. Hall did such a great job of playing Dexter that it added to the books, in my opinion.
Where in this room can I find blood slides hidden away? You have them somewhere.
No,
in here,
but
don't
I
you?
should totally cosplay Dexter sometime.
If I find shrink wrap in here, I'm not coming back.
Oh, Jesus.
The walls are red. See, that's the blood spatter. It's the walls.
Now I know why it
It
smells like iron in here.
It painted the walls. But yeah, so back to my question, David. Do you think that the actors have become bigger than the characters? Like, where's your stance on that? And like the next, 4 to 6 years, in the MCU. Before, really quick, DJ, thank you for the bits. You rock, dude.
Nice bits, DJ.
It's really interesting to see where they're going to go with their slate of movies because they've announced up to like 2020. And after the Avengers movies, we're not too sure where they're going to go. I mean, they're not doing any more Thor. They're not supposed to be doing any more Iron Man or Captain America at this point. I'd like to see the characters just fade away, and I'm not sure how they're going to handle it with... I hope that they don't recast at all or like just transition. If they're going to do like a new Captain America, maybe have the Falcon take over as Captain America. But I'd like to see if they stick with the Avengers theme and having like a super team, maybe like Doctor Strange and Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Ant-Man if he sticks around, or even the Wasp, and just kind of get like a newer team.
See, now you do your new Avengers and your Secret Avengers, and you just branch off from there. And then where we talked earlier about like changing your heroes, so you before RDJ leaves, you give him a protege, or you find him a sickly brother, whatever the hell you want, but one or the other, and then just let him, as you said, fade away and let the other characters step into those shoes.
See, and the thing that I think that they need to do, and they did it with the casting of Tom Holland for Spider-Man, and I'm not sure how well that's going to work in the future between Sony and Disney and Marvel, but you really need to find really young actors who can do these multi-picture deals, and you can grow up with the characters. And again, that's why people are asking for like Miles or Kamala Khan, like these teenage characters, because then you can get a little bit more life out of them versus, it takes 10 years to do a 3-movie deal basically, plus anything else extra like Avengers. Mm-hmm. So you got to make a decision on where you're going to go with. Are you going to stick with like an Avengers team? Are you going to start going cosmic and do something with a Nova character? Break out Guardians of the Galaxy into some of their individual character movies. It's just a great time to be alive as far as like a nerd and a Marvel nerd, but it's very interesting to see what they do because they did pull like Inhumans, and now that it's going to be a TV show versus not doing the movie, apparently, because why would you do a TV show and then a movie on top of it?
Right.
Really, really quick. It was my understanding, like, it's not so much the age of the characters, I don't think. It was my understanding that as far as the behind the scenes in Hollywood, is there not like a typecasting clause with the unions? Like, and that's why we haven't seen Iron Man 4. Yet we've seen Avengers, we've seen him, we're going to see him in Spider-Man, we see him in Captain America. Obviously, I'm referring to Robert Downey Jr. Like, if they do more than 3 movies in a series, so like if we were to see an Iron Man 4, or if we were to see an Avengers 4, that it would, like, they have to pay him a lot more, because it's like it's to protect the actors from being typecasted. So if they want to do more than a trilogy, like they legally have to pay them a lot more. So even if you were to go with a younger, like Holland in Spider-Man, like if that is a problem and it's not something that they're willing to pay, we still have the issue where Holland can only play in 3 Spider-Man movies.
I don't know if there's something like that. I know Chris Evans came out and said he would keep doing Captain America, but at the same time, he has also said that he wants to get into more of like a director.
Yeah, he
type
wants the
role
behind
as
the
well.
scenes thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with Robert Downey Jr., I think there's a part of him where he is getting older as Tony Stark, and you're seeing it on the screen. And I mean, besides like the money that he's obviously you have to pay him to get him to show up.
Right.
I mean, versus paying, doing another movie where you could save $30 million, $40 million just on one actor. Eventually, they're going to have to make that decision. But I don't think there's anything as far as typecasting goes. It's just that the actor is going to say, you know what, I've played this same character for 10 years. I'm pretty much done with it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and then you have Hugh Jackman, where he played Wolverine for almost 20 years and still didn't get a good movie out of it.
What's that?
He at least said that he'd come back if Wolverine or like the X-Men franchise actually got back over to the MCU, he'd come back for it.
And if they did, I would love to see a Dark Phoenix saga where they actually...
Aren't we getting Phoenix?
We are, but I want to see it where they actually go and you have to face the Shi'ar Empire and Gladiator and all of that. That's what I want to see. I want to see the Starjammers. I want to see all of that shit, man.
Corey in chat says that RDJ would be a great new Jarvis. I completely agree.
There you go.
That would be cool.
Because I think
all right, man, what the fuck are you doing?
The comics right now.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I just think when it comes to Stark, I don't think anyone else could play him. I think that Robert,
not at all.
He embodies him so well. Yeah. He has become him. Like, I mean, and you see that, like we've seen it with Spider-Man. We're seeing it a 4th time now, or a 3rd time. 3rd time.
Yeah.
But you know, and we obviously have seen it with Batman. But I think the thing is when you look at, I mean, we've seen it with Joker. 3, 4 times now, 5 if you count Mark Hamill. But I think that with so many of these actors in these different roles, there's always been some flaw, whether it was, you know, Keaton, for example, was what does everyone say? He was a great Batman, was a bad Bruce Wayne.
I think it's the other way around.
The other way around.
But either way, like with Keaton now, what I want to see is Dark Knight Returns and have Keaton come back, and then tie that all together. Dark Knight
Returns, like the Miller comic.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Like Old Man Batman comes back and have Keaton do that. Boudreaux, you had a point a second ago. What was it?
Oh Jesus.
All right, fuck you. Never mind.
His point was Jesus.
Corey, I agree with you. I want to see the Brood.
No, if you go back just a step there, if you're comparing Chris Evans to Robert Downey Jr. there, Chris Evans started with, what was it?
The Flash.
Fantastic Four.
No. He was
Johnny Storm.
He was Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four. He has not seemed to age a day compared to that.
No, he hasn't.
Now, and Robert Downey Jr. from when he did the first Iron Man to now, he has aged quite a bit. He has.
But we're talking about Robert Downey Jr. Like.
Yeah.
Well, it's Robert Downey Jr.
And he also
but it's also Chris Evans as Captain America.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's a big one, too.
How can you get any better than that?
That's a big one, too.
That's almost like art imitating life, life imitating art. I mean, in the comics, Tony Stark is an alcoholic and kind of a shithead. And Captain is, your Boy Scout. Right. Those two guys reflect that perfectly.
Yeah, no, they are those characters. I think that and Chris is way younger than Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. But no, I think they're both too good at their role. I mean, and that's the thing, like you think Batman, right? For example, we talked about Batman a little while ago, and like that's a common question because he gets recast so often. Who else do you think you could see as Batman? We got Batfleck most recently, and hopefully we get him again because he was awesome. And you look and you go, okay, who could play Batman? Who could play Bruce Wayne? You know, we've got the Gotham series going strong right now with, I can't remember his name, but the kid who's playing young Bruce Wayne. You do the same thing with the Joker. You do the same thing with Riddler. Like, I remember when
Gotham was awesome.
when Heath Ledger passed away and we had the Dark Knight Rises coming, and before we got the confirmation of Bane, you know, the rumor was the Riddler, and he was going to come reprise and kind of pay homage to Ledger because the rumor was Depp was going to come in and play Riddler. I don't know how I would have felt about that, but that was the rumor. And you have all these people. But again, Riddler, you know, he was in the Batman show. He was played by Jim Carrey. So he's been played a couple times. But when you think, if I were to say, hey, who would get recast as Iron Man? Who is there?
It's got to be somebody.
Like who in current Hollywood could do Iron Man and do it as well or better than Robert Downey Jr.?
What if there's a recreation of a brand new actor?
Well, that,
you know, you
well,
never
yeah.
know.
Right.
Well, the trouble
You
is,
never
You'd
tell.
have to pull from like the ultimate version of Iron Man and get somebody maybe Jimmy Smits as Iron Man, or someone you'd have to find a different variation on the character,
You know,
and you'd have to make that break.
it's weird about Jimmy Smits. Like, I have this weird... I like Jimmy Smits a lot more now. Like, he was in whatever cop show he was in, didn't really care. I think Jimmy Smits deserves a place in the MCU.
Right.
As well as Mal Reynolds there. Firefly, that guy.
Yes, Nathan Fillion.
Yes, sir, that guy.
Yeah.
I know he was cut from Guardians, but I think he needs a prominent role.
Right.
He does. Absolutely.
That's another one there. That's quickly becoming my favorite series. I went and saw Guardians 2. Have you seen Guardians 2 yet, David?
Oh yeah, saw it opening day.
Nice.
Yep. The great thing about Guardians is even pre the movies, that was one of my favorite Marvel comics. Guardians, X-Force, Deadpool, Wolverine. And the fact that they made a Guardians movie and it was like fucking amazing. I'm still like, I went and saw that in the theater, I don't know, 5 times. That was my adult Star Wars.
See, I never saw one in the theater. I actually saw one for the first time as an in-flight movie on my way to BlizzCon in
Really?
2014.
I went and saw that. I couldn't fucking believe it, man. Like, Deadpool was true to the comics. Guardians was pretty fucking true to the
Right.
comics.
I just saw the first one like a week or so ago, because I'm always behind in times, and it was stunning. It was friggin'
You know why
awesome.
you're behind? Because you're going to work too fucking
I
early.
fucking go to work too early.
The tie back.
Yeah.
But you know, I love 2. I'm excited to see where it goes. You know what? Back to Guardians 1, my biggest disappointment, we got the Howard the Duck teaser. Where's my Howard the Duck movie?
You got to go back a couple decades.
No, I don't want the shitty George Lucas thing with like animalphilia.
But you get to see Caroline in the City fuck a duck.
I don't
You know
want
who says fuck a duck? Whoopi Goldberg and Jumpin' Jack Flash.
fuck a duck.
I was raised by 2 lesbians. What the fuck, Mick? You ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, man. You got to
No.
watch it. Jumpin' Jack Flash. Check it out.
All right, I will. I'll be sure to. So yeah, we got about 10 minutes or so to close out. So let's we'll wrap it around. So David, why don't we let you tell people where they can find your show and when they can expect things like, you know, your because you don't do live, so your upload date, things like that.
Okay. You can find us at Tales from the Fandom either on Facebook or Instagram. We have an Instagram account, or on the actual website. There's a talesfromthefandom.com, and basically any podcast catcher, iTunes, Stitcher, anything that you can get a podcast on, you can find it at, or you can stream it on the website. And we release every Monday morning. So by the time people wake up Monday morning, whether it's at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the podcast is ready to go. We always have an episode on Monday, and then I generally have a release schedule on the Facebook page and on Instagram, just to plug each month. Like we have an episode Monday, June 5th, but then June 6th is our anniversary episode, so we have an episode there. Or we'll fit in different like review episodes whenever we can, or if there's an anniversary, like on the 25th of this month, we had the Star Wars 40th anniversary. So we try to time it with whatever is going on to like coincide with like the fandom stuff.
Very cool. So it's the guaranteed Monday show, and then there's the special date shows.
Yep.
Very cool. And it was Tales from the Fandom?
Tales from the Fandom. We pretty much talk to anybody and everybody. So I've talked to like authors like Kevin Hearn or Matt Forbeck. I've talked to cosplayers. I've talked to just friends that want to talk about what they're into. So it really is just a whole bunch of different people. I talked to a webcomic author who was on like Penny Arcade Strip Search show a couple of years ago and
Nice.
had him on. So yeah, I try to get a variety of people just to get a sampling of what's out there.
Very cool. And if somebody is interested in being on your show, is there a particular place they would contact? Is there a type of form submission or anything?
With that background music,
What was that?
Tales from the Fandom at gmail.com, or you can go on the Facebook page and send me a message or leave a comment.
Okay, very cool. As for this particular show here, I will go over a couple things because we got a pretty active chat room tonight. I like it. You guys rock. So a couple new things this week. We mentioned it on the top of Sonics. We'll mention it on the tail end here because it was one continuous Twitch stream. We now have the active Discord channel. You can click the link in the panels below the video there. That is a constant link, so you can click that, join the channel up. That is going to be a shared channel for IG Studios as well as Inked Geek Gaming. If you have something that you want to ask and you want to chime in voice-wise, call in. We'll do, contests here and there, things like that. You can pop in, we'll drag you down. And, you can ask the guest a question yourself. The other new thing to announce, as Annalisa shouted out for us nicely enough, and as you saw Hugo and DJ do earlier, we now are qualified for bits. We became Twitch affiliates over this past week, and so now you can cheer us with bits. So along with Annalisa's great...
Shower us in bits?
Shower us in bits.
Bits. Bits.
Look at that. Another cheer from Hugo. Hugo, you rock. 4 bits. Very cool.
Hugo, you're making that Schwann's one. You really go. God damn.
But yeah, so you can go and just like that, you can buy them right from Twitch. The lowest increment is 100 bits for $1.20. Each bit is worth a penny. And, it helps us out quite a bit and helps us move a little bit closer to the partnered status. But yeah, other than that, I think that, I always forget Patreon because Annalisa does such a great job for us. Yeah, other than the bits, if you aren't listening live, if you're listening to the podcast version of the show, if you want to help support the studio and this show and every other show that it does, you can go to patreon.com/IG Studios. I'm not going to do the whole rant, but as Annalisa says so well, give them $1, and we appreciate it. We've got a handful of new patrons over the past month, which is really awesome for us. Give them $5.
Give them $5. We also accept space masks, space helmets, custom bras.
Yeah, Annalisa's crazy stuff. Yeah. She just
I don't
did
know,
that.
man. That one she posted was pretty fucking cool.
We'll give her a quick shout out. Yeah, Amuse Lisa on Facebook. Go check out that stuff. If you listened to the episode a couple weeks ago, you heard her talk about it. Fucking Corey.
Give them hand jobs. Yeah.
Jesus, Corey. And if you can't help us financially, share our posts, tell a friend. If you like the show, then spread the word. Get us out there.
You should really record that shit.
I should.
You should.
It's organic. And I also added 2 new things this week. I'll have to record one for next week.
Just record one.
Especially now that I have the thing.
Just record it, cut it up, mix and match.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have Dice Tomato do it. He has that suave voice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Hey, if you want to give him $1.
Jesus, I'm muting your microphone. But yeah, so that'll do it for this week's episode. A big thank you, David, for coming on. It was a lot of fun. Had a blast chatting with you.
My pleasure.
Everybody, make sure you check out Tales from the Fandom, based off of what he said and what I read about the show. If you like this show, you'll like that show. And it's perfect. The show comes out on Monday. So listen to Tales from the Fandom Monday morning, and then come catch us live Monday night. We don't do Mondays anymore. I'm losing my mind. But no, you know what? We record Friday. Odds are the show comes out Monday. See, I just totally went back like 6 months. We haven't recorded on Mondays since like January. What is wrong with me tonight?
I don't know what the fuck the matter with you is.
I don't know. I am out of it.
It's because you got all fucking scared I wasn't going to show up.
Yeah,
Fucked you all up.
everything got all messed up. So let's see. Tomorrow night, DJ will be live with his weekly wrestling review for That Was Awesome. He hasn't given me a time yet, but just turn your notifications on for the channel. Then he will be live again Wednesday night with his review for the shows next week. And then we will be live next Friday with Sonics and Sabers, and then returning guest J.F. Dubo to come on and talk about his new upcoming book, A God in the Shed. And if you want to tune into frogpants.tv next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be joining Scott Johnson and Tom Merritt over on Current Geek, which will be a lot of fun. So, David, again, thank you. Thank you to the live chat room. You guys rocked. Hopefully we'll see you guys all again soon. For David, for Brandon, for Johnny, and for myself, thank you, everybody, for listening. I locked my iPad. I'm not paying attention. There we go. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. That was ranting.